If you can't pay your deductible, nobody missed anything, high def, and you can't pay your premiums, then what good is the insurance? They have health insurance, but still no peace of mind, it says. This is a bigstory.ap. Overall, 1 in 4 privately insured adults say that they doubt they could pay for a major unexpected illness or injury. A new poll from the Associated Press, NORC Center for Public Affairs Research, may help explain why President Barack Obama faces such strong headwinds in trying to persuade the public that his health care law is holding down costs. It isn't. I'm telling you from firsthand experience, it's sent it through the roof and I can't afford it anymore. Why do I have to pay the same insurance rates that a smoker would pay? I don't get it. If there's a such thing as a social smoker, that would be me. If somebody lights a Black and Mild or a Clove, I'll hit it. But I mean, I'm a non-smoker. Why would I pay the same rates as somebody that smokes a pack a day? The survey found the biggest financial worries among the so-called high deductible plans that require patients to pay a big chunk of their medical bills each year before the insurance even kicks in. Such plans already represented a growing share of employer-sponsored coverage. Now they're also the mainstay of the new health insurance exchanges created by Obama's law. It says Edward Frank of Ronaldsville, PA, said he bought an insurance plan with a $6,000 deductible last year through healthcare.gov. That's in the high range, since deductibles for silver plans for the insurance covers $3,100. My insurance charged me $1,000. I can pull it out if I absolutely have to. I do not have $3,100. You explain to me how that is keeping costs down. Unless you get desperately ill in the hospital for weeks, it's going to cost you more to have this plan and pay the premiums than to pay the bill just outright, said Frank, who ended up paying $4,000 for his own treatment for shoulder pain. The deductibles are so high, you don't get much of anything out of it. 19% of all privately insured adults say they do not go to the doctors when they feel sick because they can't afford it. 17% skipped a recommended test or treatment. That's one of the things that killed my dad. 18% of all adults went without a physical exam or other preventative care, 24% among those with high deductible plans. He didn't do it because of insurance. He did it because he was afraid. The point being, many customers also said they made financial trade-offs to pay medical bills. Obamacare has ruined health insurance. Can I be more clear? All right, guys, before we go to the Ebola update and close out the show, there's also the Dumdy of the Day, so don't leave. I want to remind you, as I mentioned earlier, the Seacrest Motel. They are wonderful towards their guests. And you know what? When you go to Cedar Point to enjoy the last 2 weekends you have to do so up in Sandusky, you're going to want to stay at the Seacrest because they're cheaper than every hotel up there. I don't just mean the Breakers, which we all know is like anywhere between $200 and $600, I think. We're talking about even like the Red Roof and that. You're not going to find a place that is cheaper than the Seacrest Motel, and they've got beautiful rooms. Huge, clean beds, wonderful bathroom. You got a tub, you got a shower, you got it made. Go to the Seacrest Motel and tell them you heard about it from the Correct Views. TCV. All right, guys, Ebola update brought to you by Mike McLaughlin, one of the best writers extant today. Go to facebook.com and look up Mike McLaughlin. Scientists, Ebola can spread by air in cold weather. October the 21st, 2014, Kit Daniels, Prison Planet. Now, go back to when we first started. This is update number 5. Go back to when we first started this. Who's been out here saying it's airborne? It's airborne. Look at the 89 study. It's airborne. Look at the study from Dr. Peters. It's airborne. Well, we, ding, 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 have been proven right, listeners. Ebola can spread by air in the cold, dry weather common to the U.S., but not West Africa, presenting a possible serious threat to the public, according to 2 studies by U.S. Army scientists. After successfully exposing monkeys to airborne Ebola, which caused a rapidly fatal disease in 4 to 5 days, scientists with the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute for Infectious Diseases included Ebola concluded, Ebola can spread through the air but likely hasn't in the equatorial Africa because the region is too warm, with temperatures rarely dropping below 65 degrees. We demonstrated aerosol transmission, that is airborne for you Lady Gaga fans. The Ebola virus at lower temperatures is airborne, and humidity, it's normally associated with the sub-Sahara. It was a 1995 study, people, entitled Lethal Experimental Infections in Rhesus Monkeys by aerosol Ebola virus. That is airborne. Ebola virus sensitivity to the high temperatures and humidity in the thatched mud and water huts shared by infected family members in southern Sudan and northern Zaire may have been a factor in limiting the aerosol transmission of Ebola virus in the African epidemics. Both elevated temperature and relative humidity have been shown to reduce its ability to be airborne. I'm not going to keep saying aerosoled. The study also referred to the 1989 Ebola outbreak at the primate quarantine facility in Reston, which I've talked about on every update, in which the virus rapidly spread between unconnected rooms. I had questioned because it said they were wire cages. These were separate rooms, we find out here on Ebola update number 5. While infections in adjacent cages may have occurred by droplet contact, infections in distant cages suggest aerosol transmission. The 2012 study also said it exposed monkeys to an airborne filovirus similar to Ebola, and it reached a similar conclusion to the 1995 study. This was 2012. There is no strong evidence of secondary transmission by the aerosol route in African monkey flevovirus outbreaks. However, aerosol transmission is thought to be possible and may occur in conditions of lower temperature and humidity, which may not have been factors in outbreaks in warmer climates. That is Africa. It says the Pentagon took this threat of airborne viruses seriously. I bet they did. This could also explain why we've seen it transmitted in hospitals. As we all know, hospitals are always kept quite chilly. It would be a perfect environment to spread. So we may have figured out exactly how this happened to some degree. All right, guys, this is the most despicable thing that you will ever hear. No, my heart goes out, I know, about the shooting in Canada today. I don't mean hurt anybody. I mean pull your money out of stocks, protest in the streets, be furious. This is quite possibly the most greedy, self-serving story that I have ever covered on this show. As Ebola raged, Ottawa sold masks and gowns to the highest bidder. The things they needed to give them the best chance of health were auctioned off to the people that had the most money. Rich people bought it and then auctioned them off from there while people were dying and couldn't afford them. Ottawa continued to auction off stockpiled medical supplies to the public even after the World Health Organization requested the protective gear amid an Ebola outbreak raging in West Africa. That would be at the beginning of it. That would likely be before Mrs. DeConte Sawyer's husband died. This would have been before it became a big deal. You know, it wouldn't have stopped the whole outbreak, maybe. Maybe it would have. How many Africans would still be walking around today with their lives? Doctors and nurses, maybe, if they had had some of this stuff? Sales of so-called personal protective equipment, which includes surgical masks and isolation gowns, not even respirators, which is what they need, also apparently took place despite requests that are said to have been made this summer via both Sierra Leone's ambassador to the U.S. and the Canadian Aid Organization for donations to equip frontline healthcare workers. Some of the bravest people in the world. Would you want to work around this? Think. People are heroes. Some of the low-priced auction gear landed in the hands of entrepreneurs who then tried to hawk the items for a profit. An estimated $1.5 million worth of stockpiled Health Canada medical supplies were auctioned for just a fraction of that figure, raising questions about the true value of Canada's contribution to the global fight against Ebola and Ottawa's own handling of it. That is the most despicable story I think I've ever read. Contact them. Let them know peacefully. Don't shoot anybody. Don't run anybody over. Peacefully, but very loudly, let them know just how vile that is. Guys, that brings us to the dum-de-dum-de of the day. Goes to the Red Cross. Now, before I do this, it's a Reuters article. Before I do this, I have seen the Red Cross do wonderful things. Our drummer, Nick Infamous, his apartment building burned down. The Red Cross was there. I mean, they were on it. They got rooms at a motel. They got food. They got set up in a new apartment. They did a wonderful job. However, this is not the, I want to say inconvenience. This is not the major problem of an apartment burning down. This is a massive problem that could affect the very lives of millions of people. Red Cross head says Ebola travel bans are irrational. The most boneheaded comment ever. For one thing, this is how every major outbreak in all of recorded history has been either stopped or worsened. They either quarantine the infected villages, towns, etc., or they don't. Those that don't die. Every major religion has a section on hygiene, and it always says to do the same thing. All religions. I mean, major religions. I mean, not the religion out there eating the dead body. That's not what I mean. They warn about this for a reason. Closing borders will not effectively curb Ebola infections. The head of the Red Cross said on Wednesday, amid debate over whether bans on travel from the hardest hit African countries could help combat the spread of the deadly virus. Well, you know what? Ask Athens what happened when it wiped out ancient Athens. Yeah, you thought it started in 1979. No, look up the Ebola documentary. That's what it's called. And it says in no uncertain terms that it's very likely what wiped out ancient Athens. So no, it was not created by the government. It may have been altered by governments, but it was not created by the government. This year's outbreak of highly infectious hemorrhagic fever, thought to have originated in forest bats, is the worst on record, having killed more than 4,500 people, mostly in Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. So let's just let Liberians, Guineas, and Sierra Leones just keep coming on in. Again, I'm not in favor of stopping doctors and aid workers there if they want to go. I'm not a barbarian. I don't want anybody to die. I just think, unfortunately, these places need to be quarantined. They need to get the best health care we have from people that are willing to go. But we can't bring them here. We need to bring the health care there if we're going to do it. Travelers from the region have infected 2 people in the U.S., state Texans, and 1 in Madrid, prompting some leaders, including U.S. lawmakers, to urge a ban. Yeah, it wouldn't do anything, Mr. Red Cross head, except for the fact that people have already died doing it your way. So what, it's easy with bonehead, I'm so mad I can't even talk. Ebola, creates a lot of fear and extreme panic that sometimes lead to very irrational type of behaviors and measures, like closing borders, canceling flights, isolating countries, etc. Tsai told reporters in Beijing, where IFRC, the world's largest humanitarian network, was holding a conference. His solution? Money. Of course. The best thing you can do is give money. Obviously, they need money so that their hospitals can be well. But this is not alone going to stop it. You cannot walk up to the virus and say, "Hello, Mr. Virus. I will come to shake your hand, and I would like to give you this money not to infect anyone." Dumdy of the day! Friends, you're listening to The Correct Views. Sam I.B. Gangi signing off. Reminding you, friends, to go to the mediaspeaks.com to look up the work of Kyle, Court, D. Lake, and myself. Also, every penny you give to me, if you would like to donate at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com, goes towards a better show. I'm going to be getting more data cards, so I don't have to make this a 2-part show for very long. Again, the data cards are being used to make documentaries with the Media Speaks. Good night, friends. God bless and thank you for tuning in. Brought to you by the Arcadia Grill, downtown Canton, where they have delicious food and delicious drinks. Arcadia Grill. Good night, friends.